In this brief presentation, we're going to look at the family Gadidae, the cods, and the family Lotidae, the hake. Only recently have these families been split into two. Traditionally, they've always both been combined into the family Gadidae, the cods. But any fish you hear about, such as cod, pollock, haddock, hake, or tomcods, are in one of these two families. Several characteristics are shared by both of these families, which is why they were merged together for so long. Both of them will have multiple dorsal fins, with gadids having 3 and hakes, lotids, having 2. Notice also, I should point out here, that your gadids will have 2 anal fins typically, whereas your hake will have a single anal fin. Both of these families, at this point in time, we know they have a single chin barbel, one long barbel coming right off the tip of the chin. And also these fish were the ones who are examples of jugular pelvic fins. That we saw fish with abdominal pelvic fins, then the thoracic pelvic fins that were immediately below the pectoral fins. Well, these fishes' pelvics are so far forward, they're clear up in the thoracic region, almost to the isthmus, well below the gill cover of the fish. Often these fish will be very, very finely scaled. Many people will see them and think that they will be scaleless, the way that catfish are, but they're not. They have very fine scales. Gadids and lotids are found in cool to cold water, and they are found worldwide. There are very limited instances of these in tropical or subtropical water. I should point out that these are incredibly valuable commercial fish. These were the fish of the cod was the fish of the Hanseatic League, and these were the immediate fish stocks that were harvested by the colonists to North America. If you have eaten any commercial fish product, you have probably eaten and consumed a gadid or a loaded. Pollock, cod, hake, they are just so abundant. And they grow to very large size, very white, clean flesh. They're very desirable in the commercial. There are a number of these which are sport fish. I have angled for some of these off the Pacific Northwest coast, and they're highly regarded as sport fish. Occasionally, our freshwater specimen, the burbot, is often considered to be a rough fish, especially ice fishermen. You'll go up on Oneida Lake and you will see burbot where they've caught these, and because they look sort of slimy and they're an odd-looking fish, they'll just get pitched out on the ice and left. But being a cod, being a loaded, they have very white, clean flesh, and they're very, very good eating. Although this is a very large family, almost all of the species are marine. We really will only find 2 species to any degree in inland waters of New York. One of these we will find in a truly inland distribution in the lakes such as the Great Lakes or Oneida Lake, the Finger Lakes. That is the burbot. The other one will be in an estuarine distribution. Estuaries will be the large ecosystems where a freshwater river flows into the saltwater ocean. So for the tomcod, about the only place you will run into that in what you might consider inland would be the Hudson River or possibly some of the lower tributaries of it. Any gadid will have that single chin barbel. Gadid or loaded will have a single chin barbel. The 2 dorsal fins and 1 anal fin tell you that you truly have Gadidae and that you would have the burbot lota, whereas 3 dorsal fins with 2 anal fins and the Hudson River estuarine distribution would give you the tomcod, Gadus tomcod. In an inland lake or river, if you get a very long, slender fish, coloration is typically mottled. Again, very slimy, kind of creeps people out. But the single chin barbel, the jugular pelvics, and the 2 separate dorsal fins will tell you burbot.
This is really an excellent
photograph of a couple of burbot. Must have been underwater camera of some sort, but you can get an idea. The long, thin nature. That long dorsal fin, I should point out both dorsals are soft. The Gadids and the Lotids all have soft rays. They do not have spiny rays. But people want to confuse this with bowfin, and bowfin are much more coarsely scaled, and they only have this single long dorsal, no barbel, huge bony head on the bowfin. So don't confuse it. But the burbot, and I should point out these are fish of conservation concern in New York State. Just with our increasing water temperature, we're seeing the range decreased. Populations in Oneida Lake have greatly plummeted. The tomcod, you may find it in any of the brackish waters up and down the East Coast. So Long Island Sound or the ponds along Long Island or any of the barrier coastal ponds, you may run into this fish. You will notice it by the chin barbel, the jugular pelvics, and again, the 3 separate dorsal fins. Again, coloration is often typically mottled. These do not get incredibly large and are often considered a panfish. This is a 19th century etching of the Atlantic tomcod, and I've always liked it. I don't know, it's just the detail is so fine. It's really incredible. Tomcod also go by a number of different names, I should point out, if you ever hear people talk about winter cod or frost fish, because these fish will move, under the ice very early in the year. They'll move up into river mouths to spawn, so people will often fish for them. And as I said, they're not a big fish. They might get up to about 1 foot long, but that's it. So very popular panfish, and I reckon they're good eating. I'd like to try them sometime. Just as an aside, I will point out to you the Atlantic cod. This is a fish of great distribution through the North Atlantic waters on both sides. This is the fish that was fished for so extensively by the Basques in the early colonists and was traded extensively by the Hanseatic League. These get very large. They were valued for their flesh of the fillet, their fleshy tongues, and even their livers would be taken and pressed to extract the oil. And cod liver oil was a very valuable source of vitamin D. Since medieval times, it has been harvested. So this is the Atlantic cod. I do want to point out that most of your Gadids and Lotids tend to be bottom oriented. So the fishing nets for them have to be run across the bottom or the ground. So this is a group of fish that you may hear referred to as ground fish. Ground fish isn't like ground beef. It's not like fish that's been run through a meat grinder. It's fish which live on the bottom, on the ground. Get it? Ground fish. Okay, that's enough of these. Bye.